when I was a young fan. My Chemical Romance told us a story. Now, nearly 2 decades later, the Black Parade is marching again. The Long Live the Black Parade tour isn't just nostalgia. It might be a sequel, a resurrection, or something way darker. Tonight we're breaking down the tour, the symbolism and the cryptic choices, and the theories that MCR fans can't stop whispering about. Welcome back to the parade. Firstly, I wanted to just state this is only me and my research. I do not claim any of these to be factual, just personal opinions and other people's personal opinions and theories that I've researched and compiled into one video. I've seen every single one of MCR's Long Live the Black Parade tour in person, so hopefully I'm not missing anything, but if I am, please write in the comments and I might make a part 2. Theory 1. Long live as MCR's death and rebirth. The power structure on stage. At the centre of the show, we're introduced to two controlling figures, the dictator and the clerk. On the surface, they're characters within the performance, but symbolically, I think they represent two real forces that shaped MCR's history. The dictator feels like the music industry itself, labels, executive, the machinery of the frame, the part of the system that saw the Black Parade explode and immediately wanted that more and more, bigger and louder forever. The clerk, on the other hand, feels uncomfortably familiar. I'm pretty sure that clerk is us, the fans. Not malicious, but demanding. The weight of the Black Parade. As the show progresses, Gerard's relationship with the Black Parade persona starts to fracture. There's resistance, hesitation, and visible discomfort in continuing to inhabit this role. This mirrors what we already know from the interviews over the years. The overwhelming pressure to follow the Black Parade nearly crushed the band, especially Gerard. Not industry pressure, but the unspoken expectation that they should stay in the darkness, that they should keep us living in the same pain, the same aesthetic, and the same emotional space. Because that's what we fell in love with. The clerk repeatedly intervenes, delivering instructions, pushing Gerard back into line. That pressure reads less like villainy and more like an expectation. Play the songs we love, be who we remember, don't change too much. The attempt to move on. There's a moment that feels especially important. Gerard moves the Black Parade jacket. It's subtle but powerful. His appearance shifts. His energy changes. He looks more like trying to step into a new phase of himself, not just musically but personality. And then he stops. After Sleep, Gerard essentially exits the performance altogether. He doesn't sing, he doesn't lead, he sits alone, absorbed in comics, puzzles, food, while the rest of the band continues playing without him. It's hard not to read this as a reflection on real life. Gerard stepped away from music, exploring other creative outlets, while the rest of the band still wanted to be a band. It's not dramatic, it's quiet, disconnected, human. The breaking point. That piece doesn't last. The clerk demands his return, the jacket comes back on, and the performance must continue. Then comes down the vote, the executions. Gerard explains that the crime committed by the four condemned figures was questioning authority, questioning the dictator. Four figures, four band members. Every act of rebellion sends them the same way. The murder. In the final act, the clerk kills Gerard. What's striking isn't the violence, it's the emotion. The clerk doesn't look vicious, he looks devastated, regretful, like someone who didn't want this outcome but felt trapped in it. Just like the fans when the band broke up. In killing Gerard, Clerk destroys himself too. The fan base implodes alongside the band. The very community MCR built and tears itself apart under the weight of expectation and loss. And through it all, the rise and fall, the dictator stands applauding. Because regardless of the pain, the system always survives, always profits. Rebirth. Then everything changes. The decay imagery, the cello, the quiet. And finally, MCR returns on the B stage. No uniform, no parade, no baggage, just My Chemical Romance. Not resurrecting the past, but standing on the foundations of its decay. What it all means. To me, the Long Live Black Parade isn't just about saying it's dead nostalgia, it's about surviving it. It's about acknowledging the damage, shedding the weight, and finally giving to the band space to exist beyond their most famous shadow. Not without the Black Parade, but no longer imprisoned by it. From the foundations of decay, My Chemical Romance lives. My Chemical Romance lives on. Theory 2: Drag, propaganda, and the fate of the Black Parade. Okay, so for this theory, let's zoom out and talk about where this story is actually happening. The show is set in a fictional country called Drag, ruled by the great immortal dictator. If you were one of the Texas shows, especially Arlington, you would know you saw him up on the show on stage in a massive cowboy hat, which somehow makes this both funnier and more terrifying. Every night, it opens with a drag national anthem, immediately establishing this is a fascist state, that what we're watching is a state-sanctionized spectacle. And crucially, My Chemical Romance is not My Chemical Romance here. They are performing as the Black Parade, a band that appears to have been resurrected, released from prison, or both, repurposed as propaganda. The Black Parade as a state tool. Within the story, the Black Parade isn't free, they're being used. They're dragged out to perform the people of the drag under watchful eye of the dictator, with orders delivered from an immersive character commonly referred to as the clerk. Whether that's the character's official name or the fandom just shorthanded it doesn't really matter. His role is clear. He enforces obedience. At one point, the clerk hands Gerard a piece of paper. It reads like an ad, a script, something he's meant to perform. Gerard refuses. He crumbles up and throws it away. The response is immediate. The clerk slaps him. At the moment, that feels huge. It's not subtle, it's a reminder that the band exists with the pleasure of the regime, and that art under fascism only survives if it serves power. The election execution. Then we get to that moment that everyone talks about, the election. Or as the internet has lovingly dubbed it, the election. Four people brought on stage, tied up, the audience is given signs, yay or nay, and asked to vote whether they should be executed. It felt participatory, democratic, performative. No matter how the crowd votes, they die. The outcome is fixed, the vote is meaningless, which is kind of the point, except something changes. At Arlington, Texas show on August the 2nd, something goes wrong. One person survives. Gerard calls it out in real time, turning to a grotesque joke, a missed shot, a botched execution, and then pivots into a game show parody, complete with a prize behind a curtain, a car, with a goat in the back seat. It's absurd, but it's not random. Sell a car on TV. The moment the line perfectly lyrics from Disenchanted, I spent my high school career split on the shoved and to agree, so I could watch all my heroes sell a car on TV, bring out the old guillotine. Theory 3. The title is a message, and Jersey is not an accident. Let's talk about the tour title because it's wrong. Not in a bad way, but wrong as deliberately specific. The tour is not called Long Live the Black Parade. It's called Long Live the Black Parade. Those quotation marks matter, and the colon makes it even more. Why the punctuation is suspicious. If this were just a victory lap, a nostalgia tour, a simple celebration, the title would be straightforward, Long Live the Black Parade. That's not what they did. Putting long live in quotation marks separates it from the Black Parade, turns it into a phrase being referenced, almost like a slogan, a chapter title, a line of dialogue. Then the colon appears. Colons imply relationship, ownership, continuation. This reads less like a statement and more like a structure. Long live the Black Parade. As in, Long Live belongs to the Black Parade, or Long Live is a new era, a sequel, reframing what the Black Parade is. And that's where it gets interesting. The Black Parade is already self titled. I may sound stupid here, but the Black Parade isn't just an album, it's also the name of an in universe band, which means Black Parade technically a self titled album by a fictional band inside MCR's world. So if that tour title is pointing towards something new, something that follows the Black Parade, then we might be looking at a continuation of that fictional band's story. Not a remake, not a re-release, a sequel. And before you say that sounds so crazy, let me remind you, plenty of artists do long form albums law now. Tyler the Creator has bought entire careers on it. People love it. MCR was just doing a narrative album before it was cool. The Instagram quotes are not normal. Let's talk about the captions, because why is everything in quotes? The Concrete Age, Good Boy, Opera. These do not sound like random phrases, they sound like titles, song names, act names, concept pieces. And MCR does not do accidental aesthetics. If they're suddenly putting quotation marks around specific phrases, it feels intentional, like we're being shown fragments of a bigger picture out of order. Okay, now Jersey, because when I first saw this and read this of someone on Tumblr, I think, or Twitter. I'm not sure. When I was talking to someone about it and they brought this theory up, I was a bit shocked, but I kind of am along with it. So, New Jersey show is number 5 on the tour. It's not the opener and it's not the finale. It's the exact middle. And for no clear reason, it starts at 5:15 p.m. Every other show starts at 6 or 7. Why 5:15? Why the 15 specifically? Now stay with me. 15 divided by 5 equals 3. Add that 3 to 1 from the starting hour, 5, and the 1 from the beginning of the 5th show. That gives us 5 fives. Is this ridiculous and I sound crazy? Yes. Is this also the kind of nonsense MCR fans always bring out? Also, yes. And this is happening in New Jersey, the birthplace, the origin point, the mythic beginning. And if someone was going to be revealed, if announced, reframed, why wouldn't it happen there? So what's the point of all of what I'm saying? The punctuation isn't decorative, the quotes aren't random, the dates aren't arbitrary. This tour isn't just celebrating the Black Parade, it's positioning it as a foundation, as a past life, as something being carried forward, which leads me to one unavoidable conclusion: MCR5 is real. And I know people say that all the time, but listen, hear me out. It's connected to the Black Parade, and if it's getting a nose anywhere, it's Jersey. Long live, but not the way we think. I am making this video after that came out, and nothing really came out. But you know, it's still a cool theory, but so something might come out. Theory 4. Drag is purgatory and the Black Parade is stuck there. Like a lot of My Chemical Romance fans, I spent the weeks leading up to the shows completely consumed by the Long Live Black Parade tour. My TikTok feed was nothing but clips New characters, new symbols, new questions. Marionette period, the great immortal dictator. And by the time I actually saw them in the home state, I wasn't just excited. I was desperate to finally see if there was something new being added. After watching the show unfold on live, here's the theory that is whatever. Drag isn't a fictional country, it's a purgatory, and the Black Parade isn't ruling it, they're trapped in it. Why drag doesn't feel like a real country? Drag presents itself as a nation. It has a flag, a language, propaganda, and a national anthem, and even an agricultural pride. But none of that functions like a real place. The rules contradict each other, the voting is fake, the executions are inevitable, rewards are arbitrary and cruel. There isn't a functioning society, it's a ritualized loop, which immediately starts to feel familiar when you remember what the Black Parade has always been about: death, limbo, transition. The Black Parade never moved on. In the original Black Parade lore, the band dies in Mexico City. That's canon. So when this tour tells us that 17 years later the Black Parade has been found alive and returned to service, the phrasing is important. They aren't resurrected out of compassion. The work privileges aren't restored. That doesn't sound like life. That sounds like punishment, or worse, obligation. They are not alive as people, they are alive as performers. The dictator as a gatekeeper, not a villain. The great immortal dictator doesn't behave like a normal tyrant. He doesn't scream, he doesn't rant, he watches. He eats, he takes notes. He reacts when disappointed. He feels less like a ruler and more like a judge, or a warden, overseeing a sentence that never ends. If drag is purgatory, then the dictator isn't evil for evil's sake. He's enforcing rules for space. Perform, repeat, don't resist. The clerk and the period, two faces of the same function. The character fans call the clerk reinforces obedience. He delivers letters, corrects Gerard, and physically forces the jacket back on. Period finishes job. Same actor, different costume, different function. The clerk ensures that compliance during the cycle. Period ends the cycle. So also, guys, sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. I'm Australian. That's how I've learned to say it. It's probably wrong. I just say it like that because it's easier. And crucially, Period doesn't survive either. After killing Gerard, he blows himself up, which suggests he isn't free. He's just another person part of this mechanism. The jacket is the anchor. Every time Gerard removes the Black Parade jacket, the system destabilizes. The cloak penance, violence escalates, the dictator becomes displeased. The jacket isn't just a costume, it's an identity lock. As long as Gerard wears it, he is the Black Parade. And as long as he is the Black Parade, that belongs to drag. And he belongs to drag. The executions prove that there is no exit. The audience votes, but the prisoners die anyway. Sometimes the ritual changes, different signs, different jokes, but the outcome is fixed. That is purgatory logic. Participation without agency, choice without consequence, movement without progress. And when one person survives in Texas, it doesn't break the system. It turns into a joke, a prize, a spectacle. Even mercy is meaningless. Marianne can see because she's outside of the loop. Marionette is blind, but she can see when she sings. She exists part of the violence. She isn't punished. She isn't dragged away. She feels less like a citizen of drag and more like a narrator or a witness. If drag is purgatory, Marionette, also same with that name. I probably should Google how to pronounce them. Marionette. I just say Marionette because that's how we say it here. I'm Southern. Southern Australia, don't lie. Maybe the only character bound to it. She does not act, she observes, she translates emotion. She sings the truth in a place built on performance. Death isn't the end, it's the reset. At the end of every show, Gerard is stabbed, the band is dragged away, Period explodes, everything burns, and then, the next night it all starts again. Which brings us to the most important detail of the tour, the second act. Why MCR appears as himself when the band returns to the B stage. They are not in purgatory. They are not the Black Parade. They are My Chemical Romance. This is the only time in the show where they exist outside the system. No dictator, no clerk, no rules. It's not an encore, it's an escape. Temporary, fragile, and earned. What this theory actually means, if people are still watching because I pronounce names wrong. If drag is purgatory, then this tour isn't about resurrection. It's about being unable to move on. The Black Parade died, but wasn't allowed to rest, so it performs forever until it remembers to resist. So each night, Gerard remembers a little more, which makes one thing clear: the story is not finished. And the purgatory only ends when something finally breaks the cycle. Whether that's new music, a new album, or a final death of the Black Parade itself, we're watching it happen in real time. If any of you are still listening without thinking that I'm insane, thank you so much. But Theory 5, Tampa broke the loop, and the story is actually moving forward. By the time Long Live the Black Parade reached Tampa, fans weren't watching the concert anymore. They were watching for deviations. Ever since the tour began in July 2025, fans have been dissecting every detail of the short of the show's brutal imagery and imperialist propaganda, the mock elections, the executions, and the looming presence of his grand model dictator. The prevailing quick belief is that became this. The Black Parade is trapped in a time loop, forced to perform, forced to serve, forced to die over and over and over again. And Tampa is where that loop finally is cracked. The time loop was never perfect. The time loop theory didn't come out of nowhere. Every night followed the same basic structure with small settling inconsistencies. The execution ritual changed. The dictator's presence grew more and more dominant. The band's makeup physically became more decayed over time. Gerard became more defiant, more aware. He didn't follow rules. These weren't random production changes, they felt more like memory leakage. If the band was being reset after every performance, then something was clearly wrong. Execution as a performance of control. The execution scene was the clearest proof. Each night the audience votes. Each night the prisoners die anyway. Democracy without agency. But in Tampa, that ritual turned inward. Instead of the anonymous prisoners, the executed figures were dressed exactly like the Black Parade themselves. Even worse, the audience could only vote. Yeah. There was no illusion of choice left. This was punishment. This wasn't punishment anymore. It was inevitability. The system wasn't killing the dissenters. It was killing the performers themselves. The New Jersey postcard, Memory Intrusion, then came out the most important moments of the entire tour, in my own opinion, because while in character, Gerard discovers a New Jersey postcard inside a book. That detail is so important, so do not forget it. New Jersey isn't a part of drag. It doesn't belong in the story. It's a real-world memory intruding into the life of fiction, a reminder of the origin, identity, and life before the loop. And Gerard does not play this off. He looks confused, disturbed, like someone realizing for the first time something is deeply wrong. This is the moment of character becomes self-aware. He knows what's going on. Why Tampa changed the death scene? Up until Tampa, the ending was fixed. Gerard is stabbed, he dies, Period detonates, reset. But in Tampa, Gerard doesn't stay dead. He stands up. He chases Period and continues getting stabbed, but refuses to fall. When Period finally detonates his bomb, Gerard embraces him. This is huge. For the first time, Gerard doesn't accept the script. For the first time, death doesn't function properly. The loop does not reset cleanly. What Period is? Period and the cloak have always felt like the two halves of the same identity, both played by the same actor enforcing the dictator's will. Period's role isn't just to kill Gerard, it's to end the cycle. But if the cycle isn't broken, Period has no purpose, which may explain why the final act is self-destruction. The system collapses when the performers refuse to die correctly. So, what happens now? After Tampa, everything gets weird. The next MCR performance isn't branded as Black Parade. South America tour dates drop branding entirely. Mexico City and the London quietly bring it back. Gerard tells the crowd, "See you next year." That doesn't sound like an ending, that sounds like a transition. What this theory suggests, here's what I'm thinking. The Long Live the Black Parade tour was never meant to end cleanly. It was meant to destabilize the story. The Black Parade has been trapped, not resurrected. Drag is not a place, it's a mechanism, and Tampa represents the first true rapture. What comes next may not be the Black Parade at all. It may be what happens after the loop breaks. New music, new era, please, or the final death of the Black Parade as a concept. Whatever it is, the story did not end in Tampa. It escaped. Theory 6. The Clockwork Orange connection and the Black Parade as a machine. When I saw the footage and I was at the Peru show, something immediately clicked. The staging, the movement, the way the control, the chaos was being emphasized. It felt familiar, and then it hit me. A Clockwork Orange. Why the Kubrick matters here. Stanley's Kubrick, A Clockwork Orange, centers around a sage-sponsored aversion therapy, a process where free will is stripped away from drugs, forced conditioning, and relentless exposure to violence and music. The goal isn't rehabilitation, it's obedience. The subject becomes a clockwork orange, something that looks more organic on the outside but functions like a machine on the inside. And suddenly, drag makes a lot more sense now. The postcard isn't random. Early in the tour, Gerard throws a postcard into the crowd that's postmarked from Kubrick. Not Kubrick, not subtle. Not close enough, but close enough to feel intentional. MCR doesn't do this coincidence names, especially not when the tour is about control surveillance and the performance under threat. If drag is a state, then Kubrick's world is a blueprint. Aversion therapy on stage. In A Clockwork Orange, the government uses experimental aversion therapy, administering drugs, notably Serum 114, while enforcing the subject to watch violent imagery paired with music. Sound familiar? In recent shows, the band physically administered substance on stage, seemingly as a part of the complementary reconditioning process. They're restrained, they're dosed, they're forced to perform. This isn't just a spectacle anymore, it's conditioning. The music is torture, not freedom. Traditionally, MCR frames music as resistance, but in this narrative, music has been weaponized. The band isn't playing because they want to, they're playing because they have to. Just like Clockwork Orange, where the music becomes a trigger that reinforces compliance. The Black Parade isn't leaning to a revolution anymore. They're being turned into puppets, or worse, machines. 2026 as a prequel, before the loop. This is where 2026 theories get really interesting. Fans believe that this tour isn't a sequel, it's a prequel. Instead of authoritarian rules, we see institutional uniforms, hospital like settings, and patients instead of prisoners. This suggests that the band isn't ruling drag yet, but they're being prepared for it. Possibly inside the moat, the same place Black Parade was sent after the Black Parade is Dead 2007. If 25 was a loop, then 26 is the loop what the hell? Is 26 is how the loop was created. The clerk isn't the villain anymore. In 2025, the clerk is an enforcer. In 2026, he is a fellow patient, encouraging Gerard, helping him perform, and protecting him rather than commanding, which raises disturbing possibility. What if the clerk was never the villain? What if he was the first one that got conditioned? Breaking the machine. This reframes everything we've seen so far. The dictator harvesting life force, the repetitive deaths, and the forced performance. It's not punishment, it's maintenance. The system only works if the band keeps moving, and Tampa, that was the moment that the machine jammed. What this theory actually suggests. If the Clockwork Orange theory is correct, then drag is a reconditioning state. The Black Parade is a weaponized band, and free will is the enemy, and the music is both the leash and the key. The story isn't asking, will the Black Parade survive? It's asking, can they choose to stop performing? And the theory is strong, especially tied to the postcard, the drugs, the institutional imagery, and the prequel of framing 2026. The Phantom teaser. What the hell is going on? In 2026, January, the My Chemical Romance fans went into a frenzy after a cryptic Instagram teaser. The post featured neon green letters spelling Phantom, alongside the caption, a game you will play. Naturally, the internet exploded, but what the hell is going on? Maybe a new album? The most obvious theory, Phantom is the title of MCR's long awaited fifth studio album. Fans are desperate for a new album. I can see that. People literally go crazy, but the band hasn't confirmed anything. Frank Iero has previously told NME, no, sorry. If that stuff were to happen, we will tell you. We will tell you in the way that we want to tell you. Cryptic? Absolutely, but that's just Frank. 2. Phantom of the Paradise influence. Some fans see a connection of the 1974 cut film Phantom of the Paradise, where Gerard Way has cited a major influence on the Black Parade era. The theory goes that MCR could be revisiting the drag storyline, exploring themes of fascist bargains, musicians trapped under the supernatural and authoritarian royal control, the cost of art and performance. It fits perfectly with the reoccurring MCR motif for artists that are both rebels and puppets. Sorry, my English is not going well today. An interactive experience, or AGR. The teaser's caption, a game you will play, sparks speculation about alternate game reality, or an interactive experience. Could fans be drawn into a new My Chemical Romance storyline during the 2026 tour? Perhaps the band wants the audience to participate in the narrative, blurring the line between performer and spectator, a theme that they've toyed with since 2025. A nod to the MCR history. Phantom isn't just a new concept of the band. Their 2000 EP, like Phantoms Forever, established in the motif, but lyrics are welcome to the Black Parade, referencing leaving a phantom behind. Could this be an intentional callback, connecting the bands to the earlier days of the current era? New aesthetic, merch, or makeup line. Some fans jokingly or cautiously speculate the neon green Phantom could hint at a new aesthetic, limited edition merch, or even a makeup kit given MCR's history of theatrical looks. Might sound silly, but with MCR, nothing is ever too weird to be canon. Context for the teaser. The tour timing. The teaser dropped just as the 2026 Black Parade tour kicked off, aligning with a narrative-heavy, theatrical performance style. The band behavior. MCR has a history of teasing cryptic storylines, trying past lore into new projects. Fan reaction. Excitement is off the charts, but some fans remain skeptical after decades of teasing without the confirmation. I do know when the Black Parade tour came out, everyone thought it was going to be a new album and it wasn't. So, in short, Phantom teaser could be music, merchandise, or a full-blown AGR, or even all three. And knowing MCR is probably designed to keep the fans theorizing up until the very last second. I've been critical, Fate. I'm so sorry for my pronunciation in English, but thank you.